Welcome back. So tonight I'm going to read you something that I had found about 3 months ago on 4chan on Poll, and it is something that I found very interesting, and it is a compilation of these posts from a Swedish anon. Now, I'm not sure if this is real. I'm not even sure if it's the same anon, but judging from what I've read of it and the typos and the style that the guy writes in, I'm inclined to believe that it is the same anon, and that as much detail as he goes into about his exploits, I'm inclined to take his word for it, but once again, I have no way of proving this. And at the series of posts, the first one was on April the 30th of 2018, and it goes up through 2019. Sweden at one time was one of the most ethnically homogeneous countries in the world. I think it was from 1906 until, I guess, 1975, Sweden actually had a eugenics program. There's been irreparable damage done to the nation of Sweden through, mass migration. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get to it here. The ultimate red pill. This is his post from April the 30th, 2018. The ultimate red pill is to be a vandal. Vandalize government property. Money has to be taken from the budget to fix this, which means less money for immigrants. Also, less cash for assisted living, which increases the chance that old people will vote for nationalist parties. The situation will continue to get more and more dire, accelerating the collapse of the current government. And as I said, this is a Swedish anon. He gives some suggestions. Bust the windows at schools. Saw apart the slides and whatnot at playgrounds. Graffiti on electrical cabinets, etc., litter in parks, trample municipal flower beds, loosen the poles used for anchoring piers to the shore and push them into the sea, and so forth. Alright, if it is the same anon, he makes another post on Friday, the 25th of May, 2018. I was very careful not to litter until fairly recently, and then I had this thought, realized that a littered Sweden will make people remember better times, that is, before mass immigration. Have since then littered on purpose during nights to make people wake up. And then he asks, you're doing your duty for Sweden, right? Then he gives some advice on how to litter. Throwing bulky refuse and electronic waste where hiking trails and bicycle paths cross forest roads, and etc., where it's secluded and safe to throw during the nighttime, but during the daytime there's a lot of Swedes going in there to enjoy nature and attempt to escape the consequences of multiculturalism. McDonald's takeout bags at the roadside, a classic that gives lots of exposure. Empty cardboard boxes on the highway makes the normies nervous because they think some NEET might be inside the box, a common way to commit suicide, to kill themselves, and so forth. I never knew that, but apparently that must be a Swedish thing, Homeless people haul a cardboard box out into the middle of the highway and just lay inside of it, Anyway, another post from Saturday, June the 30th, 2018. Finally collected enough household refuse to fill 2 garbage bags. waits until it's dark and goes out into the woods with one bag over each shoulder. Notice a couple of strange mailboxes set up along the hiking trail. It says something about the Friends of the Woods and that you can send letters to some school class that is working with some kind of environmental project. Fills the mailbox with trash and goes on. One more mailbox and one more further. Fill them up as well. I feel like Santa Claus who is doing good deeds for the future of my country. Finally reach the pond near the graveyard. My garbage bags are already full at this point. Using them to cover up 2 street lights will have to do. Let's scroll down here. You're doing your part in this struggle, right? Another post from Friday, 6th of July 2018. Apparently this anon does some sort of job for the government. Work for the government. Already incompetent at my job, but I also make sure to waste as much time as possible on purpose in order to strain the budget and accelerate the collapse. Realize that it's a Friday and visit the bathroom in order to sit out the last 2 hours of the working day. Notice that there are motion detectors for the lighting inside the bathroom. Goes to our electronics lab to gather tools. A voltage meter and a screwdriver will be needed. Removes the panel and takes out the sensor chip. Notices that there are 2 digital outputs on it. Switches them around. Put everything back together. The lights now go off when you enter the bathroom and go on when you leave. Repeat with all bathrooms on the floor. Another post from July the 25th, 2018. Good job fighting. What did you steal? Me. I guess this was the thread he was posting under. Me. He had stolen pens, notebooks, flash drives. We have a whole box full of 64 gigabytes. Decals with the government agency's logo on them. I use them as tape at home. Toilet paper and paper towels, soap and disinfectant, coffee filters and pastries, mugs and utensils. Unscrews light bulbs and replace them with my broken ones. My office is closest to the entry, so I'm most often the one who's signing for the deliveries, so I've got the time to loot before it's put farthest back in the lockers. I work for the government, so it's already all mine, since I pay so much taxes to this treacherous government. July the 31st, 2018. Go down to the cool storage facilities in the basement at work. Notice that the heating and air conditioning is separate. Sets the heating to the max. Also set the air conditioning to the max. Feels around so that they just about neutralize each other. Goes up to the ground level and towards the parking. Sweaty colleague comments on how hot it is. Looks behind him and notices how the output from the ventilation in my building is wobbling around in the pillars stretching several meters. Yeah, the air conditioning is working at its fullest. Friday, August the 10th, 2018. Out driving around town, hunting for good deeds to perform. Neighborhood with lots of new futuristic looking buildings. It's obviously just the treacherous local government that's trying to make the population think that the budget isn't strained at all. Here's where the building fiber optic connections. There's a few typos in this, I apologize. But make a narrow U-turn and go straight to the Rusta. And apparently, drawing from context here, I think Rusta is it's a type of chain store in Sweden. Brush and black, pink and yellow paint will be needed. They even had reflective safety vests for sale. It obviously feels bad to buy in a Swedish chain store and support the economy, but the necessity knows no law. You know, that's a very wise quote right there, I think. Necessity knows no law. Go back to the neighborhood. Oops, the construction workers accidentally offset everything by several meters. So apparently he had went and I guess, they had laid out where they were going to set up these fiber optic cables. They had painted the ground, saying this input or output goes here. He went around and redid it. Pretty wasteful. Another post from the 24th of August 2018. I tend to put glass, metal, and electronic waste in the green compostable bag and get rid of the household waste in other ways. Recently read in the local fake newspaper that there had been a clogging in some kind of wastewater pump before the treatment plant, and that waste had been flushed out in a stream. Goes AWOL from work for a few hours to check what's going on. Sees a bunch of Rusta bags lying there that have been used to flush waste that you're not supposed to flush. I ask them if they need help. I offer them a pair of work gloves so that they can get the accident in order. 2 pairs of 29 KR at Rusta. I suppose these are gloves. Good products for reasonable prices. I shop there at least once a week. Alright. Friday, September 28th, 2018. The recycling station says that you aren't allowed to throw away glass between 2200 and 700 hours because it might be a disturbance, during the night time. Throws away a whole plastic bag filled with glass at 4 a.m. outside the apartment complex. Let's see. Another post from 20th of October 2018. There is a synergic effect between broken windows and the start of the collapse. Note that this has nothing to do with the anti-accelerationist Frederick Bastiat. I think that's how you say it. Consider a building with a few broken windows. If the windows are not repaired, the tendency is for vandals to break a few more windows. Eventually, they may even break into the building, and if it's unoccupied, perhaps become squatters or light fires inside. This can be applied to a lot of things. You got to have a lot of strings on your guitar of vandalism. On my way home from work, it was raining, so I went to the grass plains by the lake to tear up some mud. Stopped by the pier to dump some of my workplace's tools in the lake. Notice a beat up skiff there. Gets back in my car and go home. Fishing rod, clothes, sou'wester, and a life jacket will be needed, and some packed lunch. I carefully put the clothes and fishing equipment in the skiff. I open the package of crackers and pour some coffee from the thermos. I carefully push the skiff into the lake. I stand on the pier and throw the life jacket in the other direction. I go home. Full activity out on the lake with searchlights. Apparently, he had faked, someone had drowned here. I hope you're spending your tax money or else the government will do it for you. October 25th, 2018. Been using studded tires since August for maximum wear on the government's roads. I hope you're using yours. Put them on right now and you won't have to think about it until May. Let's see, a post from Friday, November the 2nd, 2018. My workplace got a surplus in the budget last fiscal year. This is obviously bad, since our incompetent operation might get less tax money budgeted to spend next year. My boss wanted suggestions on what to use the money for. Suggested carbon offsetting on our car journeys, and that we will calculate how much we spare the environment and present it on social media. Praise and applause. I don't hear much more about what's being said at the meeting. I'm already in my own thoughts. 1 year later, the report is in. Even though the carbon offsetting, we have somehow been polluting more than ever and paid absurd sums for a few trees in India. A resounding failure without equal. A hero's road is narrow, but it feels fairly wide when you drive an equivalent of the length of the equator on the highways. Alright, a post from December 15th, 2018. Reminder that your income tax declaration is a debt to your people. It's how much you have to make up for through vandalism. Let's see. that's not really relevant. Another post from March the 11th, 2019. Be me. Get a free pass for specialist healthcare since my costs have exceeded 1,100 SEK this year. Book appointments with various different specialists since I think it's interesting to hear what they have to say about my body. The local government pays thousands of SEK per appointment. Easily over 20 visits a year at specialist clinics that I don't have any need for. And that's all I have. So, I'm not condoning for anybody to do any of the things like this. You could get in trouble for it. But I will say, some food for thought, Perhaps if enough people did this. I thought it was very interesting how he talked about littering as being a way to make Swedes, ethnic Swedes, miss the old Sweden before all this mass immigration. And I don't know about littering, I'm not a big fan of it, but perhaps the guy's onto something. Anyway, I just thought this was very interesting. I thought I would share it with you, and just a few things about acceleration, I guess you could say. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.